This video will detail how a property manager or landlord can add a new property record to our system. After logging in, you can select the Add Property option here, or you can go to Properties and select Add Property here. In this example, we already have an existing property, so we will be adding a second property to the profile. We'll first enter the nickname field. This is any kind of nickname you want to refer to this property as. The tenants will be able to see this nickname, so a lot of people will commonly use just the street name and street number. For this example, we're going to say 123 Main Street for this property. You will enter your name that you want to see tenants to see. This can be different than your profile name if you have someone else that manages the property. You will enter the phone number that you'd want them to contact you on. Once again, both 2, 3, and 4 settings, you can enter a different email, phone number, and name if someone else manages the property or someone else handles the inquiries from tenants. In this example, we're obviously just putting our eRentPayment phone number and email address. For number 5, this email is an additional email if you wanted another party to receive confirmations of any activity on the property. Let's say a property manager, or if you're the property manager and you wanted an owner to be notified, you could enter their email here and this would not be visible to the tenants. If you want to enter multiple emails, just separate them with a semicolon. The rental address of the rental property is entered here. Once again, we will put this as 123 Main Street. If there's an apartment or unit, you would enter that in setting 7. We'll enter the city and select the state here. Just for example's sake, we'll enter the zip code. And then for setting 11, if you want, when they make a payment to you, if you want them to see a different name, let's say each rental property is its own different LLC name, you could enter this here. This is not the tenant's name. You won't enter that here. If you select no here, they will just see whatever's in your profile, first name and last name, when making a payment as the payee value. Otherwise, you can override it here. Setting 12, we'll enter the rent amount for this property. You can enter the monthly amount, the weekly, bi-weekly amount, along with if there's a security deposit balance. There's also a utility balance field that you can update on a regular basis, along with the date field. You can enter the date that you entered that utility balance just so that they know how current that utility balance is. In this example, we're to enter $1,500 just for the monthly amount. We're to say there's a $30 utility balance as of the 1st of January, just as an example. The rent due field, we are to select the first for this. You can select pretty much any day of the month you want. You can see in this drop down. So for this example, we'll just use the first here. Partial payments, we're to select whether we allow those, whether we only block those if they submit a rent payment. When the tenant goes to make a payment, they can select what type of payment this is for, such as utility payment, security deposit, rent payment, prorated rent payment, for example. So you have the option to allow them to submit other partial payments for the second option if they're submitting other payments to you, such as for utility payments, but block the rent payments. If you want to block all partial payments regardless, you can select that third option. For the charge late fee, in this example, we are going to set a late fee. You base the setting 16 on the number of days after the due date that you want to give them a grace period. In this example, let's say your rent is late after the 5th, so that a late fee starts if paid on the 6th or later. We're to select 4 for setting 16. That will give them 4 grace days after the 1st. So pretty much late fees start after the 5th. In this example also, we're to charge a flat fee plus a per day fee. You can do a combination of any of these. As you can see, you can select it as a flat dollar amount, a percentage of the amount in the property, or a percentage that they pay. You can use any of these differently. For this example, our late fee is $50 on the first day late, and then $10 each additional day. The first day late, we charge 1 flat fee plus 1 per day. So we're to enter 40 for the flat amount, $10 per day. What will happen the first day late? It would charge $50 total, then $10 each additional day. If you want to set a maximum late fee, you can set that here. For example, we'd set a maximum late fee of $100, not to be exceeded in a given month. So that is how you would set your late fee options for the property. Setting 18A and 18B, these two settings come down to making sure that the tenant is up to date and they don't try to avoid a late fee. To summarize these two, pretty much the system will check that they submit a rent payment first. They can't submit like a utility payment or mark it as other or security deposit to avoid a late fee. And then 18B requires that they have a payment for the prior month. So for example, let's say they're paying January and they're late. They can't mark it as February to try to avoid a late fee, since we charge our late fees based on the month year selected and based on the payment type. We only charge late fees if it's marked as rent payment. So for these two, we're going to select yes for both of these. For both options, you have an option to not enforce these for the first few payments. For example, if they're doing a security deposit or a prorated amount. So for this example, this tenant, we're setting it up to allow them to make 2 payments before this starts being enforced. So let's say they're doing a security deposit plus a prorated amount. We'll select that here, and that will allow them to do those without being forced to do a rent payment. So that will not enforce those for the first few payments. For your receiving account, this is where you're selecting the bank account you want to receive payments with. For this example, we're going to select a checking account we already had on the system. These two options allow you to deposit security deposit payments or application fees to a different bank account. Some people may have a trust account or some type of a separate bank account they use only for security deposits. With this option, we can select the bank account to use for just security deposits, and those will be deposited to that separate bank account automatically. And then for the same thing for application fees, if you want to select that, you can set that. If not, if you don't set either of these, all the payments deposit to that rental account. And then we'll enter a renter code for the property. This is just usually a code that the tenants will use to register. Keep it simple. We usually recommend, as you can see in the example, some combination of the street name and street number. I will do 123 Main Street here as an example. The transaction fee here, you can select whether you pay that, split it with the tenant, or have the tenant pay that transaction fee. You can also select whether, if you are paying any part of that transaction fee, you could have it debit from a different bank account. Some people may have an operations account where they want to use that for fees or any other miscellaneous payments. You can set that here. Otherwise, any of your transaction fees would be debited from the bank account that received the payment, whether it be the rental or security. So that's also an option, not required, but an optional feature. Setting 22, you can require a recurring payment if you prefer, or you can select the first option, which allows them to log in and manually submit a payment, or set up a recurring payment if they prefer. So this is optional to you also. The setting 23 are the payment reminders. We have a monthly reminder here that always goes out on a set day of the month. For example, we may want to send that on the 27th of the month. These two options let you copy yourself on that email if you want a copy of the email, along with that CC email from above in the property settings if there's another party that you send emails to. If not, the email would only be sent to the renter in this case. And then we also have the late reminder. This only is sent if there is not a payment for that renter by this date. So for example, on this one, we're to send a late reminder to the tenant on the 5th, and we're to copy ourselves just to make sure we kind of give ourselves a heads up that the payment hasn't been submitted yet. So this one, if there's no payment, we'll get copied on this one. And then keep in mind, as I said, the monthly reminder always gets sent regardless if they have a payment. And then the notes and messages, this is just an area that you can type notes to the tenants. These notes are included when they log in, and they are included in any reminders that are sent out. And this, for example, will say thank you for your payment. Payments are due by the 5th. Just an example text. Setting 26 is any notes that you want to keep on the property that are not visible to the tenants, maybe any maintenance you've done, anything along those lines. Payment status, this is always set to allowed, so you'll leave that allowed, and then you'll click add property to complete the process. At this point, if you have not sent in your voided check or bank statement along with your ID, you will be prompted to send that. If not, if you already have a property, which in this case we do, it would automatically be activated, and you will receive the email for the property that you can forward on to the tenants. So that is a summary of the property add process. If there's still any questions during the process, we'd be glad to assist. Please give us a call, 303-459-4990, or you can send us an email at customerservice@eRentPayment.com. Thank you very much.